softly at the edge of a quiet valley where a single giant dish lifts its pale metal face toward a slow, pale sky. You hear almost nothing, only a distant breeze moving through grass like a careful whisper, the faint creak of a structure that knows its work well, and your own breathing settling into the calm. If this gentle journey helps you relax, please tap like and subscribe, and feel free to use the playlist in the description to keep learning while you drift, so the science can keep you company as you fall asleep. What city country are you watching from right now? Here, in a radio quiet zone, the morning begins without ringing phones or vibrating alerts. Imagine yourself stepping onto a narrow path of clean gravel. Each step is soft and deliberate, and the pebbles shift with a muted rustle that fades back into silence as you pause. The air is cool and dry, with the fresh scent of dew on meadow grass and the faint metallic trace of night air leaving the dish after a long vigil. Around you, hills lift gently, padded with spruce and pine, like careful guards around a place that lives on listening. The world feels wide, but the soundscape is narrow and kind. Even the birds seem to choose softer notes today, as if the valley itself is a library of the sky. The giant radio telescope rests in a shallow cradle of concrete and steel, an enormous bowl woven from thousands of panels that catch invisible waves and guide them to its quiet heart. You look up toward the center, where receivers sleep in a nest of cables and shielding. Imagine yourself tracing those cables in your mind, from panel to panel, into a metal spine, and down to a cool, windowless room where low noise amplifiers hum at the threshold of audibility. The building walls are thick, layered with shielding that blunts the sharp edges of stray electromagnetic noise. It is a space designed to keep silence intact. The day here moves gently. A technician arrives, the tires of a small, carefully shielded vehicle whispering over the road. The engine noise is a thoughtful murmur. A door closes with a padded click. No slamming steel, no careless echoes, just the measured cadence of a team that understands how to move around a listener with delicate ears. Imagine yourself slipping inside the control room. The lights are warm and soft, designed to be kind to eyes that watch screens for hours. On one wall, a map of the sky glows in tender blue and grey. Constellations drift slowly as Earth turns, a clock that never ticks out loud. A hydrogen maser sits behind glass in a quiet corner, a careful keeper of time. It holds steady to a rhythm so precise that a second is a smooth and dependable shape. That rhythm tags every measurement and every recording, like a steady heartbeat beneath the data. Imagine yourself standing near it, noticing the gentle fan that moves air without fuss. The tone of the room is not silence exactly, but a soft aggregate of small, kind sounds. Fans, pumps, the whisper of airflow through a vent, the near-silent pulse of the building breathing. The morning routine begins with calibration. The giant dish lifts, azimuth motors turning slowly, elevation creeping by a fraction of a degree at a time. The movement is unhurried, like a mountain shifting in a dream. The structure's scale is reassuring. It moves so carefully that you hardly notice until you look again. again and realize the horizon has changed. A chart on a nearby screen follows the dish's position, a line gliding in steady increments. Imagine yourself watching the line drift, like a small boat crossing a calm lake, always purposeful, never rushed. They aim at a known source in the sky, a reliable beacon whose brightness and character the telescope knows intimately. In radio astronomy, these calibrator sources are like old friends who never change their tone. The system listens. A noise diode clicks on, a tiny, well-behaved burst of reference energy, and then off again. The receiver's response is noted, compared, adjusted. Before the telescope listens to the unknown, it checks its own ears, teaching itself once more how to hear. In this zone, the absence of interference is an active practice. Imagine yourself stepping back outside, where signs standing by the road ask for quiet in gentle words. No Wi-Fi, no casual broadcasting, no devices that talk loudly to the air. The quiet zone is not silence for its own sake. It is a sanctuary for faint signals, for photons that left their sources millions or billions of years ago and arrive here as an almost imperceptible tremble. A truck rumbles by on a distant highway, but it is far enough and shielded enough that it becomes a low cloud on the horizon of sound. The dish continues to move. The gentle rhythm continues. Your mind wanders to the frequencies the telescope will listen to today. Imagine yourself holding a soft ribbon of numbers, megahertz and gigahertz, wavelengths that fit into the span of your arms and wavelengths longer than the field that surrounds you. Radio waves slip through clouds and the soft haze of the atmosphere. They carry the signature of cold hydrogen at 21 centimeters, a line that tells of atoms spinning and flipping and whispering as they fill the spiral arms of galaxies. They carry the pulsed beats of neutron stars, rotating like lighthouses far beyond any sea. They carry the broad, quiet hiss of the cosmic microwave background, a memory of when the universe was young and bright and then cooling, a serene and ancient afterglow that the telescope can taste like a steady warmth in the noise. Inside the receiver room, a cryostat rests in a gentle embrace of metal and foam. Liquid helium keeps the amplifiers very cold, so the noise they add is small, almost like a polite throat clearing at the back of a symphony hall. The lower the noise, the better the chance of teasing a signal out of the random jostle of thermal energy. Imagine yourself touching the side of the cryostat and feeling the coolness, not icy to your skin, but definitively calm. The heat of your hand flowing into a system that can handle it without complaint. Small gauges mark pressures, temperatures, flows, all within expected bounds. The gentle rhythm continues. Outside, the dish's panels wear a thin sheen of morning dampness, and a shy breeze smooths it away. Insects wake in the grass. If you walk along the access road, you notice a narrow trench that carries fiber optics across the site, a line of light rather than an airborne broadcast. Fiber is preferred here because it keeps communication contained, like a quiet conversation in a room lined with plush drapes. There is care in these choices. performs on an appliance housed in a shielded cabinet. Even small luxuries are gentle, contained, thoughtful. In a corner, there is a sign asking visitors to switch devices off entirely. Imagine yourself obliging without a second thought, as if turning down the volume at a concert for a single fragile instrument. The telescope's observation plan is simple today. There will be a survey of neutral hydrogen in the nearby spiral of our galaxy, using that 21-centimeter line. Then a stretch of pulsar timing, catching the regular beats of objects that keep time across years with a steadiness that rivals the best clocks on Earth. After that, a session of very long baseline interferometry, where this dish and others far away will listen together to reconstruct a view sharper than any single dish can achieve. All of it will unfold slowly, in pulses and sweeps and patient integration, listening and averaging and letting the faint accumulate until it becomes trustable. Imagine yourself settling into a chair in the control room. The fabric is worn but comfortable, and the armrests carry a faint memory of polished hands. On a screen, the spectral plot is a landscape of gentle bumps and valleys. Baselines are carefully flattened. A small spike appears at the known frequency of 21 centimeters, corrected for the motion of Earth and the motion of the gas in our galaxy. It is like hearing a whisper at the edge of a field and knowing that it comes from a stream hidden by trees. The spike is not dramatic. It is calm and believable. The observers let it grow, minute by minute, as the dish holds its listening posture. Outside, a maintenance worker takes a slow walk along the perimeter fence. The footing is easy, the ground springy with years of leaf fall. They stop to look up, check an alignment mark with binoculars, and make a note in a slim paper notebook. Nothing here is in a rush. The sky is pale and then bluer. Clouds move with a steady, even drift. The telescope turns a fraction of a degree. A motor hums, then rests. The gentle rhythm continues. You can imagine how the dish focuses radio waves much as a mirror focuses light. Only the wavelengths are longer and the scale is grander. From the edges of the reflecting surface, energy converges at a point where the feed collects it and passes it down to the receiver chain. There, amplifiers, filters, and converters guide it into a digital form. A polyphase filter bank splits the band into many narrow channels, each a tiny window. Sum them together slowly, and a story emerges. The language is simple: frequency, power, time. You lean back and let the columns of numbers move past like a quiet stream of leaves. At mid-morning, the hydrogen survey is well underway. Observers mark a drift scan across the plane of the Milky Way, letting the sky move through the beam as Earth rotates. Drift scanning requires stillness. You do not chase the source. You rest and let the source come to you. There is something soothing in that idea. Imagine yourself breathing in and out at the same measured rate, feeling the chair beneath you supporting your shoulders and your back, feeling your eyelids soften at the edges. The telescope listens. The gentle rhythm continues. Between scans, the dish slews with unhurried grace to a bright calibration source. Flux density is measured in Janskis here. a small unit named for one of the early pioneers of radio astronomy. The numbers are low because the universe is quiet at these frequencies, and the signals that do arrive have spread out over unimaginable distances. Yet they are persistent. The dish, when it is on target, changes its posture by less than a finger's width of angle, and that is enough. A small rise in the spectral baseline, a confirmatory check on pointing, a nod from the observer, and then onward. If you walk behind the control room, you will find the cable gallery with waveguides that shine slightly in the dim light. They carry energy like a whisper along a hallway lined with thick carpet. Here and there, panels with shielding gaskets press firmly into place. They are oddly beautiful in their seriousness. Imagine yourself running a fingertip along the cool edge of a copper braid and feeling the tiny ridges like the grain of fine fabric. The building feels like a thoughtful friend, keeping stray signals out and letting the chosen ones pass through undisturbed. In the quiet zone, even the parking is arranged so that vehicles pause a respectful distance from the sensitive areas. The tires roll on carefully chosen surfaces, and the brakes are serviced so they do not squeal. Inside the machine shop, there are tools designed for this environment. Torque wrenches that click softly, soldering stations with filters that carry fumes away through smooth ducts, test equipment sealed against leakage. A Faraday cage stands open, its mesh door inviting, ready for any noisy device that needs to be tamed before it spends time out in the free air. Imagine yourself stepping into that cage and closing the door, noticing the subtle change in sound inside, the way voices lose their brightness and become matte and soft. By midday, the neutral hydrogen survey is complete. Data flows into an archive that is more like a deep pond than a stream. It is collected with care, checksummed, written to storage systems that favor reliability over drama. Some of it is copied to disk modules for later shipment to a correlator for the interferometry run. Some remains on site to be analyzed by the team over unhurried weeks. In the kitchen, lunch unfolds in a way that honors the listening outside. Induction heaters and ovens sit in shielded compartments. Microwaves, which would be too noisy, remain absent. The smell of warm soup and fresh bread drifts down the hallway in a gentle swirl, and soft laughter rides along with it like steam. Imagine yourself taking a bowl, sitting by a window that looks onto the dish, and spooning soup at a pace your body appreciates. Watching the dish from the window is like observing a slow tide. It rises and falls not with water, but with angle and time, a quiet cycle you come to trust. After lunch, the pulsar timing block begins. The telescope aims slightly off to one side, then rolls in, settling on a point that represents an object so compact and dense that time itself seems to gather around it. Pulsars whisper in sharp, regular beats. They were once stars much larger than our sun, now collapsed into a sphere of neutrons the size of a city, spinning many times a second, or perhaps once every few seconds, sending out beams that line up with us every rotation. Imagine a lighthouse far across a smooth sea, sending out a gentle flash that a careful watcher can see use to steer. The telescope listens for that flash in radio wavelengths. The software folds the signal on the pulsar's known period, aligning hundreds or thousands of rotations until the shape of the pulse rises above the background. The profile emerges, a primary peak, sometimes a secondary, sometimes a bridge between them, each with its own personality. The gentle rhythm continues. There is a vocabulary to pulsar timing that fits the calm. Dispersion measure, a count of the electrons between us and the source, spreads the pulse in frequency in a way that can be corrected. De-dispersion draws the spread out parts back together into a single clear beat. Arrival times are measured against the Mars's steady ticks, then adjusted to a common frame, the barycenter of the solar system, so that Earth's own motion does not wriggle the numbers. All of this work is both abstract and grounded. It is like slowly focusing your eyes until a dim star grows sharp. Imagine yourself watching a plot that shows residuals, the difference between expected arrival times and actual ones, shrinking to a neat, quiet band. It is satisfying in a restful way, like smoothing a sheet across a bed and seeing the last wrinkle lie down. Outside, a cloud passes over the sun, and the temperature dips by a whisper. The structure of the dish responds to heat, expanding and contracting in small amounts that the pointing model accounts for with ease. Differences measured earlier during careful engineering sessions pay off now, with tracking that remains steady. There is no need for sudden corrections. The motors breathe. The bearings turn. A thin line of shade from the feed support sweeps across the grass and the soft, short clover that grows here, moving with the patience of a sundial. The gentle rhythm continues. On the slope beyond the operations building, a path wanders into the trees. If you walk there, pine needles cushion your steps, and the ground smells of resin and earth. You can hear the dish when it moves, a low, friendly chorus of metal and counterweights and cables cooperating. There is also a rustle of squirrels in the branches, and an occasional ripple of wind that moves the canopy in a smooth wave. You feel your shoulders drop a little, your jaw loosen. Imagine yourself simply standing there, taking in the scale and the stillness without needing to hold it tightly. It can be present without being a goal. The gentle rhythm continues. Halfway through the afternoon, the second shift arrives for the interferometry session. A small team gathers quietly at a bank of consoles, each person with a role. Across the world, other dishes will do the same, listening to the same target at the same time, so that later their recordings can be combined. The distance between them becomes part of a synthetic aperture as wide as the Earth itself. For now, the focus is on timing and consistency. Clocks are compared. Time codes tick in perfect agreement. A tone of known frequency rides along the line, like a familiar passenger making sure the route is still the same. How sleepy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? The observation begins with a target near the celestial equator, an object whose position is well defined and whose signal is stable. Each station records the raw voltage stream, a fire hose of data guided gently into ordered storage. Although the volume is large, the process is slow, methodical, and gentle, like filling a well from a spring that never runs dry. Imagine yourself watching a display that that shows the data rate as a steady line, a horizon that does not tilt or buckle. You can almost feel the relief of systems running as intended, warm to the touch, not hot, with fans breathing just enough to stay comfortable. Once the phase is aligned, the team shifts to a science source. The dish slides by a small angle and settles, its massive face angled with the grace of a large bird, tilting its wing to catch the smoothest part of the air. The software logs scroll, time frames slip by, each a small capsule of the universe as it was in that moment. In a few weeks, these will be joined with their sisters from faraway observatories. The mathematicians will let them interfere, the small phase differences turning into structure on scales that make edges and brightness distributions, and tidy maps of jets and cores and diffuse halos. For now, the team watches for stability. No dropouts, no odd oscillations, nothing that suggests a human-made intruder sneaking into the band. The radio quiet zone keeps doing its work, a good steward of the shared air. Imagine yourself stepping out one more time to look upward. The afternoon light is mellow now. Shadows are longer. The dish's elevation changes, and you notice how the trusswork traces delicate triangles against the sky. They look both strong and airy, as if geometry itself were a kind of silence. A small flock of birds passes by at a respectful distance, shepherded by instinct into a path that does not cross the beam. The breeze that began the day has settled into an even hush. The gentle rhythm continues. A brief maintenance window opens. Technicians take a lift up to inspect a panel seam that loosened fractionally with last week's heat. There is no emergency. Each bolt receives the correct torque, recorded with neat handwriting in a log that spans years. Nearby, a lightning protection cable runs along the structure, a reminder of weather that sometimes arrives with a sharper voice, though today the sky is even and mild. Surface drains along the edge of the dish are clear, ready for any sudden shower. These are tasks like sweeping a threshold or straightening a shelf, small acts of care that build into reliability over time. Back in the lab, a student cleans a filter, then seats it again with gentle pressure and a click as satisfying as a book closing on a shelf. They scroll through a spectrum and note the absence of the common culprits that disturb bands in less protected locations. No cordless chatter, no wireless local area networks marking their territory, no erratic blips from power supplies or poorly shielded electronics. The line is smooth, with only the expected ripples from known sources overhead and the measured response of the instrument itself. It is lovely in its ordinariness. Imagine yourself nodding slightly in appreciation, the way you might acknowledge a well-made chair or a path that follows the land in an easy arc. Evening draws down with a tenderness that feels like a soft blanket. The first stars appear, though the sky is still blue. The control room lights slip to a warmer temperature to protect night vision. Outside, red navigation lamps mark walkways, covering the ground with a comfortable glow that does not push back at the darkness more than it needs to. The dish prepares for a spectral scan of a galaxy checklist scrolls past on a screen, and each item is checked off with a small muted tone. The gentle rhythm continues. You imagine the galaxy rising, its nucleus a soft cluster in visible light, but full of structure in radio waves. Atomic gas trails through its arms. Perhaps a few compact radio-loud cores add small brightness islands. The telescope will not see details right away. It will assemble them patiently, one integration at a time, letting the signal stand out by standing longer. The process is meditative. The person at the console leans back, adjusting their posture for comfort. A thermos lid clicks open. The steam that rises is almost invisible in the dim light. The tea smells of mint and something like chamomile, a calm combination. At night, the radio quiet zone feels even more like a protected harbour. The absence of human-made noise grows more complete. The hills absorb sound and send nothing back that would bother a careful listener. Animals move in their own patterns, but their sounds are mechanical only in the way that life always is. Breath and heartbeat and footfall, all small and respectful. A distant owl calls once from a tree line, and then nothing for a long time. The dish keeps listening. The gentle rhythm continues. Inside, the duty astronomer checks a display that shows atmospheric properties. Water vapor content, wind speed aloft, temperature, and pressure all contribute to how the sky looks to a radio instrument. None of these are dramatic tonight. The curves and bars fall in the middle of their ranges, and the telescope's calibration will take them into account. Every so often, a tipping scan measures the sky temperature at different elevations, tracing the gentle contribution of the atmosphere to the overall noise. Each value plugs in quietly to a model that keeps the system honest. Imagine yourself listening to the small click that begins a tipping scan and the similar click that ends it, a pair of bookends that keep a shelf neat. In a corner, a rack of data drives whispers. A set of disks fills steadily with the interferometry data. Another captures the single dish spectra, time-tagged and labelled. Names are orderly, never flashy. They resemble dates and times and quiet descriptions, project codes, target names, and frequency bands. The workstation screens never flash or jump. They flow. A long timeline passes across one display, with small markers indicating calibration, target acquisition, and short breaks to adjust focus and pointing. Silence registers as a straight line. It is satisfying to watch. The gentle rhythm continues. Midnight arrives without fanfare. The team hands off from one pair of eyes to another pair. They speak in low voices, exchanging details, reading small notes left on sticky paper and typed into the log. The words are simple, mostly verbs. Confirm, track, verify, note, adjust. When the incoming astronomer takes their place, they slide into the chair and rest their hands lightly on the desk, as if to absorb the tone of the work through their fingertips. Imagine yourself doing the same, letting the calm of the room seep into your shoulders and down your spine, into your legs, making them heavy in a pleasant way. sets behind the hills, and a gap in the schedule appears. The dish takes the opportunity to practice a drift scan across a standard region of sky used for system checks. Noise diodes whisper on and off. The response in each channel is measured with care. The entire exercise feels like tuning a piano very slightly in a quiet hall. The instrument was already in tune. The tuning makes sure it stays that way. Outside, a light dew forms again on the grass, and the air carries a fresh sweetness that suggests morning is not so far away, even as the night has many hours left. The gentle rhythm continues. During the slow hours, thoughts wander to the layers that make this place possible. There is engineering, welders, machinists, installers, electricians, all the steady hands that attach metal to metal and route cable calmly and correctly. There is physics, the equations that describe how waves interfere and sum, how a beam moves across the sky, how thermal noise adds up and averages down. There is administration, permits that protect the quiet zone, agreements with neighbors, patient conversations with local communities who trade a slice of convenience for a shared pride in a listening place. There is also a simple human care, the way the floors are kept clean, the way tools are put back where they belong, the way the coffee is brewed a little early for the overnight shift. Imagine yourself taking comfort in how many gentle acts support the work of listening. The small hours deepen. The galaxy observation concludes. The wide beam mapping is done for tonight, and the telescope moves to a patch of sky that is simple and empty, a place where the system can measure the true background. The cosmic microwave background is a quiet, nearly uniform glow. The telescope hears it as a level baseline, slightly raised by the local environment, lowered a bit by the noise temperature of the receiver, and shaped subtly by the atmosphere. With enough time, the baseline becomes crisp and steady. It is not exciting in the ordinary sense, but there is peace in seeing something so ancient and constant settled into a calm trace. The gentle rhythm continues. Later, there is a short hunt for a new pulsar candidate. Not a chase, the word is too intense for a place like this, but a stroll. The search field is surveyed by scanning across it in careful stripes, letting the signal fold over possible periods and dispersions. Most of the time, the result is a neat background of noise, a reassurance that the system is not seeing things that are not there. Occasionally, a hint appears, a shape in the folded data that suggests a regular beat just at the edge of detection. Tonight, the hint is very slight, perhaps too slight to trust yet. It is marked gently for follow-up, a note added to a list that will be reviewed with patient attention later. Nothing is urgent. The gentle rhythm continues. As dawn approaches, the air grows a little colder as the sky brightens. The staff windows collect a fine fog on the outside, then clear as the first light touches the hills. The dish turns to a maintenance position, facing in a way that offers safe access for a routine inspection before the day crew arrives. The night team labels the last recordings and begins to tidy the logs, filling fields and checking boxes with quiet satisfaction. Imagine yourself standing up slowly, feeling your legs wake a bit, stretching in a way that is kind to your back, and looking out through the window at a sky that is turning is a ritual here to mark the handover from night to day. A few minutes of overlap, a cup of warm tea poured from a thermos into a clean mug, a couple of words about the night's quiet surprises. The day shift listens and nods. They do not need a long story. The apparatus itself has recorded the details, and the people trust one another. The night shift leaves, their steps steady, their minds already loosening from the tight focus, more aware of the song of a bird nearby and the coolness of the morning air. The gentle rhythm continues. With full daylight, a small group heads out to check the feed support structure. They ride in a slow cage, moving up along a track that allows careful access to the components that receive and guide the radio waves. The metal underfoot is textured to keep boots steady, even when damp. Each tie and bolt and weld is inspected. A thin layer of dust is wiped away with a cloth that leaves no fibers behind. Cables are examined for wear, connectors for a hint of corrosion. Any that seem uncertain are replaced before they become a problem. This is the quiet labor that keeps the big listener content. Imagine yourself watching a gloved hand tighten a connector until it is just right. Not too much, not too little, and then press a small cap over it with a soft push and a satisfying friction fit. Back at ground level, the motors that drive the axes receive a short break from their work and are checked for temperature and lubrication. A drop of oil, a reading from a sensor, and a note in the maintenance log bring a sense of completeness. The bearings are smooth, the currents nominal, and the structure content. There is a small squeak in a door hinge that is oiled and then forgotten. The toolbox closes without a bang. The gentle rhythm continues. In the afternoon, the operations team hosts a short training walk for a new group of visitors who will work here in the months ahead. The curriculum is practical and calm. How to move around the site with kindness for the instrument. How to verify that a device is quiet before bringing it into sensitive areas. How to recognize the fingerprints of interference on a spectrum. They show the newcomers a collection of archived examples, the regular tick of an electric fence from many kilometers away, the soft buzz of a failed fluorescent lamp ballast, the ragged edge of a digital device that is not fully shielded. All of these are presented like botanical specimens, not to alarm, but to inform. Imagine yourself standing at the display, appreciating the honest shapes of these phenomena and the steady methods used to reduce them. Knowledge makes the quiet safer. Late afternoon again, and the hills glow with a friendly light. The day has been peaceful and ordinary, which here means productive. Logs show columns of check marks and sensible comments. Stable, verified, tracked, calibrated, archived. In the control room, the chairs are back under the desks, the lights still soft. The dish rests and then pivots smoothly as a new target rises into range, repeating a pattern that has unfolded day after day and will continue, weather permitting, over months and years. There is comfort in that repetition. The gentle rhythm continues. You imagine yourself walking the pathway one last time before sunset. The air carries the mild scent of sun-warmed grass, with a trace of pine and the faintest hint of machine oil that seems not out of place, but part of the texture. footsteps feel slower now, not from fatigue, but from a willingness to let the path unfold at its own pace. You pause near a small pond used to regulate temperature in some of the auxiliary systems. Its surface is still. A dragonfly hangs above it, her wings a blurred whisper. The reflection of the dish trembles slightly and then rests, as if the water too has learned to listen. The gentle rhythm continues. Evening returns. The staff rotates. Another sequence begins. You notice how the routines echo each other in a kindly way. Calibrate, aim, listen, verify, record, rest, and again. The long baseline partners across the world are ready once more, their clocks aligned, their receivers cooled, their hearts steady. The data flows. Somewhere on another continent, someone sits in a room like this one, with the same soft screens and the same almost inaudible fans and the same sense of purpose, without urgency. The planet is encircled by patient ears. Imagine yourself feeling that connection lightly, not as a heavy responsibility, but as a gentle fellowship of listening. Night deepens again. The Milky Way stretches overhead like a river you can cross whenever you wish, by closing your eyes and stepping into the song of hydrogen. The 21-centimeter line flows across the dish's beam. The pulsars turn. The galaxies whisper. The cosmic background holds steady. The records fill at their measured rate. One more set of quiet notes in a symphony that grows over time. The gentle rhythm continues. In the early hours, a light mist drifts in from a low meadow. It wraps the lower parts of the structure in a soft grey that dampens what little sound there is. Insects rest on stalks of grass. A fox moves along a fence line, its steps confident and economical. The dish slips past a support and reveals a portion of sky that has been covered for hours, and the receivers take in the new view without comment. Inside, a small green indicator glows with a steady brightness that has not varied in months and will not for months more. Imagine yourself noticing that glow, the reassurance it gives, the way that one small constant can anchor a space. As the second dawn approaches, the long sequence of the day completes its circle. The interferometry run wraps up with a final calibrator, a clean check that the phase remains good. The noise diodes click a last reference tone. The data drives report healthy. The logs are saved with crisp timestamps and careful signatures. The dish rotates to a neutral position, a restful stance that makes the structure comfortable as the day shift takes over once more. The gentle rhythm continues. You walk back toward the start of the path, feeling at home with the cadence of this place. Imagine yourself glancing over your shoulder at the dish, standing calm against the paling sky, and then letting it be, the way you might leave a friend contentedly reading in a sunlit room. The radio quiet zone resumes its daytime hum, which is to say almost nothing at all, just the small work of maintenance and calibration, the occasional visit by a technician with a task list, the gentle presence of a few people who are good at listening. As you return to where you began, your footsteps lighter now. You carry with you the sense of a day that was full but not crowded, structured but not rigid, purposeful but not forceful. The telescope heard what it meant to hear. The staff did what they meant to do. The sky offered what it always offers: calm ancient light, calm ancient waves, a calm invitation to notice without needing to hold too tightly. The gentle rhythm continues and will continue tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. In this place where quiet is cared for and the cosmos is welcomed as a guest who never needs to knock. If your eyes feel heavy, that is as it should be. If your breathing has slowed, that is the rhythm of the dish itself, slow and steady, in and out, seek and rest. You can let yourself drift, imagining the faint hiss of the sky as a shoreline in the distance, constant and kind, with pulse after pulse, like small swells of a lake at night. Imagine yourself safe, supported by a chair or a bed that is as trustworthy as the bearing of a well-maintained axis. The night outside your window is its own quiet zone, and for now you are its giant listener, hearing only what you choose to hear. When you come back to the present moment, it will still be here, this calm place. In the meantime, thank you for spending this gentle time together. Sleep if you wish, rest easily, and if this quiet journey helped you unwind, please consider subscribing and leaving a like so we can keep releasing videos at this soothing pace and explore more peaceful corners of science together. The gentle rhythm continues, and you are welcome to rejoin it anytime.